Today I have just gone to see Clueless in the cinema. They have these sort of throwback evenings where they give a free drink and a free popcorn. They've had quite a lot of these. I think they have them every week. But in the last like month or two, it's always been films that I don't really like or old ones. I know whatever was on last week, my mum got really excited at the title, and then when my sister and her partner went to go see it, they were just like, this is rubbish. So that they weren't very impressed. So because of that, I know that my mum has a really bad taste in films. I think she likes whatever she liked when she was 16, which are films that are just completely outdated for today's time. But because it was Clueless, and because I bought this new top, well, my mum bought it for me. It was only £4 from a charity shop, but I asked her if she can get it to me, and it's very nice. I like it because it kind of looks like something you would see in the Clueless kind of thing, actually. So I know you might be wondering, like, if I have no money, why is it that I always go to the cinema? I guess the answer for that question is that it's not actually my membership. The membership includes a person and then a guest, and when my mum first signed up, I was living in London, and because my sister was always with her partner, she did sometimes go and use the card, but she wasn't really that into films. But I used to always go with my mum, and then when I moved to Birmingham, we no longer could go together. But they didn't seem to mind me using the card. But to be honest, I actually think that I'm like inspiring and linking to the films, and a lot, often, not all the time, but often the films that I watch seem to somehow link to my daily life. Me getting that cut, which is looking a lot better now, it's kind of sealed, but yeah, me getting that cut straight after I saw a film where someone cut it, I don't know, just weird things like that. And the whole of that Final Destination film seemed to link to me in a horrible way, because there was like this death spirit that was after and trying to destroy this person, and I feel like in the same way there's a spirit that's destroying my life. And the video is a bit not very good, but anyway, I went to see it, and it puts me in a good mood, that film. I think that was one of the films that made me think that America was an amazing place to live, and then I went to go and visit it a couple of years ago, and I was like, yeah, it's not quite what I expected. But I loved not all the fashions. That suit that she wore, the kilted suit, wasn't very nice, but there was some in that really, really nice. And one of the favourite outfits I love was this shirt that she would wear. And let's see if I can take it off. I used to absolutely love this white shirt that she would put on. This is not quite the same. Mine's a little bit shorter. Hers was a little bit longer. But I really wanted it for such a long time. And then I found it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I could be like her. So yes, she wore it with a white dress. But yeah, there's some fashions in it that I really like. But yeah, so I was a big fan on that film when I was younger. And I just want to show other things that I bought recently. When I went to Walshaw to get the £5 pasta deal. It says, I don't know, Google it. I don't know. I like the colours, even though you can't really see the colours on this. And I also bought, this was only £5. I can't believe it. It's jeans, and it's army jeans. Because I wanted some more jeans that were like more fitted. But I really like my army tracksuit bottoms. I've got like 4 or 5 pairs of them, but I can't imagine me wearing jeans when I prefer that look. And then I saw this, and it was like an army jean. So if I want to wear the army style and wear jeans, then I can now. So I'm really liking that. But yes, during this film, I was thinking about my sister, and just, it's kind of brought up actually a lot of memories. I know there's a lot of people who have got rich through buying a house and then finding that it goes up huge amounts, and that's what happened to my sister. She bought a house in 2000, a flat, should I say, with her and her old partner. They bought a flat in Muswell Hill for 300,000, and within 2 years it had gone up to about 500,000, perhaps just a little bit less. But they'd made £200,000 in a very short time, and in that period of time I was living in a tiny studio flat. Jealous. I was jealous, and I knew that I was God. I knew that I was Christ. I knew that I was inspiring things, that things were linking to my daily life, that the singers and celebrities seemed to be singing about me, but sometimes they wouldn't be, or sometimes they'd just be very insulting. And so I was just getting very, very very confused over what they were doing and why no one was talking to me. And you know, after 2 years of waiting and just using up this 20,000 inheritance, you know, I was a lot poorer. And it was very, very annoying for me to know that, you know, my dream was to buy somewhere, and I couldn't afford 300,000. You know, I had been working for a couple of years, but it was only through massage, and I'd only managed to save about 50,000, and that was in about 3-year period. And I was just thinking, well, how am I going to buy a £300,000 2-bedroom flat? You know, their flat wasn't massive. It had a semi-good living room, diner, and then a long hall, and then a small bedroom, and then an even smaller bedroom, but it was still a 2-bedroom flat. And you know, and it was 300, and I was jealous over how I wanted that, and I couldn't afford it, and they could. So and then to learn that in the 2-3 years that I was in this tiny studio flat, you know, that the value of it had actually gone up by £200,000 when was actually just £20,000 poorer, because I'd been spending that money on the rent, only to find that no one helped me, and I still only had 50,000, and now I just had absolutely no chance of living in London. I still had hope that people were going to help me, and I had a client that had a flat that I could rent out for a little bit more. It was a lot bigger, but it was in a basement. The bedroom smelled of mold. It was horrible. It was nice, but the bedroom wasn't nice. And so I basically I spent most of that year actually sleeping in the living room because the smell in the bedroom was so bad. But yeah, to think that I've gone through all that, and it's a kind of also a reminder that during that time, my sister didn't care. She didn't care that I was living in a studio flat, and because of that, I didn't actually see her. I barely saw her during those years. I knew that I was God, I knew that I was Christ, I knew that neither one of them cared, and I felt jealous how I was living in a tiny studio flat when she was living in a 2-bedroom house, and she was earning, you know, and the value of the house had gone up so much. But it's because of this value increase that she believes that if she buys more houses, the same thing's going to happen, that in a couple of years' time they're going to be worth £200,000 more, and she'll be able to sell them and then pay off the mortgage. And she just doesn't realise how lucky she got with that property. You know, she doesn't realise it. I think because it doesn't have a station, people thought that it wasn't going to go up, and then it did go up, and then, you know, they got a lucky deal. But it reminds me of people who gamble. You know, you make a few good deals, you make a lot of money. I think the camera's going bad again. You make a good... Definitely need to buy a new camera, because this isn't... It's a very hot day today, but it's the camera shouldn't be overheated. But anyway, you can hear my voice. But yeah, it's just, you know, I went through so much, and she didn't care, didn't appreciate, I never even saw her during those years. I think I just saw her at Christmas time, and I felt like I couldn't be around her because I was kind of jealous of everything that she had. And now to think that, you know, she's going to use that experience, ignore the experience that I was actually facing, where I couldn't get a job, I didn't have money, I couldn't get out of bed most days. You know, she's going to ignore my experience and only think about her experience of making a good choice in buying a property and having it go up in value. And she's going to take... I'm going to try and get my mum to stop her. You know, she is mentally ill, and she doesn't even realise how bad she is. I think she likes to brand herself as being autistic, and just blame all her problems on autism, rather than see it as a lot of stupidity and selfishness and greed, and just not being happy and always seeking more. You know, makes me wonder though. Oh, this horrible camera! I really need to get a different camera. Maybe I should just buy another one, because this one just seems to be... As you can see, the mouth is not moving with the sound. But anyway, I don't know what to do about that. I'm wondering if there's a whole bunch of rich guys who have a partner who've stolen all their wealth and they hate that person, and if there's some sort of blacklist for people who've earned money through just, you know, earning it off someone else, and if there's like some sort of plot twist to try and get their money back through bad deals. I don't know, but I think Sophie's ex-husband would probably go for something like that and see if he can get Sophie to agree to bad deals to try and get his money back. But I don't know, really you shouldn't think like that, because you should actually be thinking, why do I need so much money? What's the point of having all this money when really all I need is a house and money to pay bills and money to do things. Why do I need huge amounts? You're just buying yachts to go sink them or something, £100,000 ships just to go ship them or something, go to sink them. I mean, why do you need that much money? But yeah, I think there's a lot of people that want to just take it off others because they don't think others deserve it, and for this reason I think the billionaires are not against what my plan is, because I don't think people should be rich or wealthy if they're just wasting their money, or if they're not nice people, or if they're stupid and if they don't make good decisions, or if they have this sort of false self-belief that they're really intelligent and they make good decisions and they're not mentally ill. All it is just autism, and it's not just autism. Like, my uncle's not autistic, he's bipolar, and he still realizes that having £400,000 worth of loans is a stupid thing if all you're able to earn is £20,000 or £30,000 a year. She's really she's not thinking at all, and I don't, I'm thinking about the suffering that I went through while she was having this big nice flat that was just growing in value very quickly for doing absolutely nothing, and it makes me feel angry how there's so many people that have become wealthy, and they haven't become wealthy for their own means. If you buy a house that's worth 300,000 and it's worth 500,000 a few years later, have you deserved that? Have you earned that? No, it's been given. It's this much because the bankers have been loaning and doing lots of stuff to giving lots of money to other people so that the house market rises, and therefore you didn't contribute to that wealth. You got lucky. That's what you did. And if you're going to see you getting lucky as being you being smart and you being intelligent and you making good business decisions, but really it was all just luck. I think people like this deserve to fall because they didn't deserve the money in the first place. And I don't like the idea of rich getting richer. But if the rich are getting richer because they are actually making stupid people poor because they don't deserve the money, then I like that. Stupid people shouldn't think that they're smart and intelligent just because they've made lucky choices. Someone who makes a good deal, a good investment deal, you should appreciate the good investment deal. She's got a 2-bedroom flat and a 1-bedroom flat, and she should be lucky and feel thank you for letting me have this. I'm so grateful. She should see it as, wow, I've got so much more than what other people have. I would love to. Would I swap my house for those 2 flats? I like my son. Though if their window was at the right end, I really need somewhere where I can lie in front of the sun, and the sun is at a funny angle so that the sun hardly ever comes through the window. I think you get it between 8 and 11, you might get some sun, but yeah, the rest of the time it's not. So I wouldn't want that flat, but though her 2 flats together are worth way more than mine. Her 1-bedroom is worth about 30,000 more than this house, and her 2-bedroom is worth about 80,000. No, it's probably worth about 100,000 more than this house, and yeah, it's worth 100,000 more than this house. So she's got quite a lot of property. She's a lot richer than me. She still owns half the Birmingham house, so she's in a very good position, and I just feel like she doesn't care because she thinks she made it through wise choices when that's not the truth. And so if she ends up losing it, I don't care. It's just with her son. I wouldn't want him to lose out. But I don't know, if there is going to be a massive housing crash, then I guess the son's going to find it easier to get onto the property market. So it's only going to affect the people that have that lose out. But in the future, hopefully, it'll be easier to get on the property market.